So here we go. End of November. And we have 3 massive games launching on the week of Thanksgiving. I don't think there's ever been a year like this. Everyone has traditionally stayed away from the holidays. And I think it just goes to show that people don't care what time of the year it is. And I would make the argument that these holidays that are scarce in terms of projects, people are actually looking to throw money at the crowdfunding on a weekly basis. And so if you go on one of these off weeks, like these campaigns are now noticing and realizing, you can still make just as much as any other time of the year. No such thing as a dead zone. This gives you an alternative board game wise to Black Friday-ish or Cyber Monday, whatever you care about. Neither of which for me. But what do you need to know? 3 games? Let's go. First up, finally, been hyping it. Got released, got announced right at the tail end of last week. Nemesis, Awaken Realms. The only thing that really surprises me is that it's so close on the heels of Dragon Eclipse. Completely different dynamic, completely different player count, completely different mechanistic niche. But the real question is going to be, for you Nemesis junkies, is it going to be enough? Is it going to be different enough? They're parting things out. You're going to get a standee version even now. We've seen on the gamefound preview page. We'll pull that up in a minute or two. But price point wise, do you want to spend another triple digit 100 plus on Nemesis? Because I guarantee you, vast majority of you are watching this, listening to this about Nemesis, or thinking about backing it, you have probably bought in one of the other two. Now, there's going to be plenty of people that aren't in either of those camp, and this is going to be the one that lures them in Siren Song style. But I think, again, this is chasing the dragon, I think, for a lot of people. This is an absolute chasing the dragon. If you don't know what I mean by that, I mean that this is a game that people are looking at to fulfill an empty spot in their collection. And by collection, I mean here. Because now I've seen recently a plethora of posts going, oh, I have so many games, and just nothing looks good to me to play. Okay, let's have some FOMO check here. This isn't going to be that game for you. This is taking a different spin on the Nemesis. More deduction, more hidden movement, more dynamic. And this is just going to make it supposedly more combat heavy. I'm supposing embargo lifting very shortly, if it was one in first place, about the content and all of the usual folks. All of the usual names that were on their previous 2 campaigns of Dragon Eclipse as well. I'm imagining it's going to be the same cast of characters putting out videos. So if you're subscribed to any of them, expect to see that hitting your feed very hard, very shortly. Spoilers, I'm not one of those people, so don't worry about getting it from me. But that's going to be the question, right? And just with all of the other stuff, my biggest concern, always, where's the rule book? Where's the rule book? Is it actually going to have a rule book? Not only on day 1, but before the end? I mean, that was the big issue with Dragon Eclipse. They're like, hey, here's the competitive, but we're also, don't worry, pledge it for the solo and the 2-player cooperative. But we're not actually going to show you any of that during the campaign. Elder Scrolls, we're not going to show you the rule book. You know, Pledge Manager is practically closing and you don't have it. So that is the biggest maker to break it nowadays. On the roundup yesterday, there were like half a dozen games where I was like, can't really tell what's going on. No rule book, not a whole lot of examples. So why would I back a small indie game that I'm spending a lot less money on and being willing to spend 2 or 3 or 4 times the amount just because I like the concept better, because the artistic style is better? Let's be frank here, folks. There's too much of that on our hobby. There's too much of that on the retail. There's too much of that on the crowdfunding. This is no exception. You don't make exceptions for things like this. You don't make exceptions because of their track record. You don't make exceptions because of the art. You don't make exceptions because of the deal. You don't make exceptions because of the FOMO, the exclusivity. You don't do it. Or you end up selling it. Literally, we should have a badge of shame instead of a badge of excellence that, like I mentioned previously, a lot of people are having nowadays. We should have a badge of shame, you know, an emoji that gets to be able to be put on people's posts who sell games in shrink. Me included, right? But that's the thing, Nemesis, what do you want out of it? Don't get me wrong, tons of money. tons of money. 57,000 forking people. That may be a record. I've never seen anything close to that. So, you know, even if they do the typical 10 to 20%, you know it's going to be oodles of cash, because I guarantee you a large amount of those people are going to spend anywhere between $200 and $400, because not only will you have the miniature upgrade, you'll have the sun drop, you'll have the non-gameplay expansions too. And again, I feel really worried about this because people are going to rag on the zombie side DC game that's going on. Oh, they're going to have 5 expansions. They're going to have 3 expansions. This is the exact forking thing, except they also slightly part out the miniatures and don't make you buy them all, but people always do. So, yeah, I mean, I love the fact that this is a $65 edition, but I just wonder, you know, what else am I going to be missing with this $65 edition? Because that's kind of what they've done in the past too, is they're going to give you nickel and dime of stuff. And the other thing that goes along with that, right? No one I have ever seen, when they talk about Nemesis, when they make recommendations for Nemesis on any forum, Board Game Geek, Reddit, Facebook, post, is like, you know what? Those expansions for Nemesis are really the best thing. They make it or break it for me. Never. The stretch goals, the Aftermath campaign sort of thing on the first Nemesis, that is the only one that I have seen routinely at all in any shape or form mentioned as, yeah, that's pretty good. Otherwise, it is really the base game. And again, folks, that's not like Kickstarter exclusive CMON Marvel United, where the base game expansion, where the additional, you know, core pledge level with the expansion is really the best one. That is 0 expansion. You're going to get tons of content, and it indicates, if you scroll down here, that this gets the stretch goals. So $65 with stretch goals, again, that's not, I've never said it's a bad value. Never said it's a bad value. Sell it for what you bought it for or more. But do you want more of a just purely driven combat system in Nemesis? Right? When you think of Alien the movie, you don't think of RPGs and flamethrowers and tactical. Okay, maybe flamethrower, but you know what I'm saying there. You don't think of the heavy, you know, dungeon crawl battle-esque out. You think of the other that it went for. The creepy, the scare factor, the horror. Aesthetic is second to practically none. Never the issue. But, you know, as we say with all these other crowdfunding pages, like I said previously on many others, look at all the pictures of the junk that you're getting. Nowhere so far on this massive page, I'm still scrolling here, folks, still scrolling. Is there any gameplay? How do you play this? What's significantly different about it? Nowhere on this page yet do you see that. And yeah, it'll be all on there, but nowhere does it give any description. It looks more like, at the time of me filming this, Spiritfire, when they launched it, with the fancy words, the fancy design components, and the fancy pictures, rather than anything that's actually helpful for figuring out whether or not it's right for you. Because remember, folks, the objective of most crowdfunding campaigns, especially larger ones nowadays, is not to make sure that you're getting the right game that fits you. It's to sell you the game from a marketing standpoint, period. First and foremost. I may get in trouble for saying that. I may not get any emails back, but that's the side of things that my channel is focused on. So if you're watching this, hopefully, you know, again, I'll be talking about it hot, heavy, and everywhere under the sun in the future after it launches. So what's up next? Wow, we're not going very far because GameFound is also hosting Lucky Duck again. Another contentious one, and people arguing about silly nonsense in the comment sections already weeks before it launched. Food Chain Magnate. Food Chain Magnate Deluxe Edition. I personally have no interest in this game. I'm a completely and utterly neutral party on this one. It's not even like DC, where I'm a little bit jaded and I still like my superheroes, but I'm sort of, you know, trying to figure it out. And, you know, it's not like Awaken Realms and Nemesis, where again, like, I'm really kind of interested, but also kind of trepidatious. This one is just like, I just hands off, and it's going to be, you know, getting my popcorn ready and seeing how many people bee and complain in the comment section on the actual page itself, but also over on Board Game Geek and Facebook and everywhere else, just like the Dice Throne community being super toxic during their campaign. Guarantee it's going to happen with Food Chain Magnate. People talking already about how Splatter's design is superior. It doesn't worry about the aesthetics. You clearly don't know what you're talking about if you care about those aesthetics. Like, you can have both, folks. Screw you if you don't think you can, but you don't need it. No one's saying that, but sometimes that matters to people. I mean, Dice Throne doesn't need all the deluxeified little individual components and the nice trifolds and the fancy whatever and the insert. You don't need it. Toss half those inserts out anyway. But, to pretend like it doesn't matter at all to anyone is also just being sort of a jerkhole, if you will. So I don't really know what else to expect with that one. And again, you go over to the gamefound page and it really flat out says original recipe gameplay, meaning they're not changing the gameplay at all. So you're not missing out in that. They're not tweaking it. They're aesthetically redesigning. Remastering, is that what it's called on the video game side of things? But the thing I don't see on the page is any talk about the catch-up expansion. And I would wonder if there's going to be some of that, because that's the other thing that is out of print or in between prints or whatever it is right now. I don't even know. But that's another $100 that it takes up at the retail side of things right now. And I'm not wading through the 10 pages of Board Game Geek commentary back and forth on the main forum to figure out for you at this time whether or not ketchup is going to be on this campaign. But if it is, and you deluxeify, I mean, holy crap, do you know how much money this is going to cost you? It's like going to be probably like $300. I don't know what the price point is. And I'd be surprised if the base game is under $100. I mean, that would be amazing, right? Because the base game retails for about $100 anyway when you can get it. So is that going to intrigue you? Are you one of those people that's looking at it? Are you going to FOMO it? Oh, it's a pretty game. Man, if this game isn't for you, if you don't want a heavy Euro style splatter 3-hour game that's apparently is like super cutthroat, like you can just totally screw people up at the beginning of the game and totally cut them off from ever having a chance of winning, and that, the first half an hour you can't win a 3-hour game. That sounds like a fun experience. I'm just tongue in cheek, folks. If you can't criticize the stuff you love, maybe you're a little too uptight about it. But I mean, that's what we have to talk about as well. Like, how much does that fit you? Not, do you think it's going to fit? Is it going to fit? 2, 3, 4, I don't know. Whatever your preferred player count is as a whole. But that's a lot of game, and it's going to cost you a lot of dinero to find out if you're wrong. And again, people are going to go, well, I'll just buy it, Chris. They said they're not coming out with it ever again. I'll make money off it. You probably will. You probably will. And I won't argue with you, but I'll say what I said previously many times over. I don't buy games to sell them. I buy games to play them. Big difference there. Could I? Absolutely. Do I have the cash to spend? Probably. Do I want to? Abso-forking-lutely not. So, I'm not going to try. Last up, the third of the big three. Steamforged, Horizon Forbidden West, Seeds of Rebellion. I mean, we're going to see what they've got in store. Another Horizon game. Fantastic looking miniatures. But gameplay-wise, the first one, again, not having played it, has not been universally acclaimed, to say the least. If you go over to their website now, though, the last 5 posts on their blog are all running you through the narrative, the combat, behind the scenes, the actual mechanisms of deck building, component hunting, stealth, and the preview levels of the exclusives and the pledges. Speaking of the pledges, though, let's just pull it up here for a second, right? And they did this with the previous couple, including the Monster Hunters. And again, I like this. I wish people like CMYK and Awaken Realms didn't nickel and dime us throughout the campaign. Just throw it all out there, right? That's one thing I really prefer. And I just wish it was just, cards on the table. And I know marketing and hype and drive-through, but you know what? I'm not sure that actually makes that much of a difference. I'm not convinced. Kickstarter exclusive expansion. Say what you will about Steamforged. Again, their retail shop doesn't go wide retail, but their retail shop is always a significantly higher price point. So you're going to get some surprises. You're going to get some exclusivity there. Unlocks as well. Well, if you don't want spoilers, skip over this part, I guess. 3 optional gameplay add-ons that you can choose to add. New gameplay elements, huge machines, and that's all they're going to tell you. If you got the previous stuff as well, they're going to give you a free backer kit, exclusive gift. And you can get an upgrade pack to make your other ones backwards compatible and all compatible along that side of things. So, I don't know. I'll make the argument that their overall gaming trend has been going up. But I also, you know, feel like from Dark Souls and the original Horizon, they didn't start off on the best foot either. You know, Resident Evil's been okay. The Monster Hunter's been relatively okay received. Bard Song, I think, was a hit for some people, a miss for others. Again, it's a lot of money for someone like myself who has no tie to the IP whatsoever. And as you've heard me say elsewhere, meeples, standees, as I just said with Awaken Realms, like that's my preferred, right? Because not only does it increase cost, it also increases the shipping and space. And especially now when you have all three of these games, because you know Food Chain Magnate's going to be the size of like Castles of Burgundy Deluxe, right? So even that one isn't going to be small. How many of those can you have again? Just fill up the space around your room, right? You know, this looks completely organized and well, you know, spaced out, right? No. Are you like me? You don't need bigger boxes. In fact, you need stuff that's smaller and smaller sized and smaller in overhead. And none of these games are going to be games that are going to be, I don't want to say this term too often, but lifestyle. These are going to be all lifestyle games. In the sense that Nemesis, just like the other Nemesis, you can't just play it like once and then try and remember all of it, right? That's the one thing Awaken Realms' games in that line, in Tainted Grail, in all of these have shown us. That they all require relearning it practically if you don't play it back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Food Chain Magnate, yeah, I mean, it's a heavier game. It's going to take you longer to teach other people. How long do you have to teach? Are your players willing to learn from that aspect? And similarly with this one, with Horizons, I mean, it's more of a campaign scenario-driven game. So you're going to want to get your money's worth by playing a ton of the scenarios. But that means you also have to love the core grind of the scenarios in the first place with any campaign scenario-driven game. And if you're not in love with it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to play it a couple times, it's going to hit the shelf, or you're going to play it a couple times, you're going to get rid of it. See previous point about buying just to sell. So those are the three that are launching. Those are the three that I can ramble on for a lot further and a lot longer. Probably so when they launch next week and I have my roundup on Black Friday. The Black Friday roundup. Now that has a certain good ring to it. I like that. So we'll see. And you know, I was going to really end it right there at 3, but you know what? I'm going to give you an extra special 4th one this week because, yeah, why not? Heroes of Land, Sea, and Air from Gameland Games. Yeah, their big 4X is getting a deluxe reprint because GameFound bringing all the backers to the yard this week. And so they're offering you a reprint. They're offering you more content as well in case a couple $100 of this 4X style game with asymmetric factions wasn't enough in the first place. I mean, if you're not familiar with it, right? You develop your kingdom, you get your advantages, your serfs evolve into warriors, your warriors become heroes, town halls into castles. And they're offering a bunch of miniatures with it. And I think this was one of those campaigns where they sort of canceled it because they had like the standee pledge or something and no one did it. And then it like way underfunded. And so they canceled it early and then they came back and it raised like tons and tons of money. And they've got a cost reward system with tactics cards that you secretly select. And the availability depends on the units in the conflict itself. It's a heavier resource management, economic dueling system, they say. So why are you getting it now? Well, earlier stock guarantee and price-ish. Now there's gonna be new content. Two Worlds game map, playmat, if you will. 48 by 30 freaking 4 inches. And then something called the Events of Augermore, which is a new mini expansion that just gives you event cards that are going to basically give you asymmetry on a turn-by-turn basis, as well as a new card tactics deck as well. Basically, that's just one-time use tactics cards to hit your opponents with even harder, I guess. So it's over on GameFound, like I mentioned. It's got a bunch of positive comments in the first place, but, you know, 30 to 45 minutes at least per player, 4X style at a bigger price point. Yeah, right? Speaking of lifestyle, like I did with the first 3, meh. So we'll see. I mean, I'm sure it's going to raise high 6 figures, but are you going to get a lot of new people in on this one? I have no idea. There's no prices up at all, though, at the time of me filming this for the GameFound page. So how much cheaper is it going to be? How is it going to compare to the other crowdfunding campaigns when they offered the majority of this stuff previously? I'm always interested to see the split between new backers and returning gotta get it all backers in this one too. So there you go. And you know what? Let's see what else pops up, because even just like this last week, there are a couple small ones that are always interesting and lovely to talk about. Acrologic, that one was a cool one. Go check that one out. Sudoku meets colors and numbers. That's all I got. What else is going on? Well, just, let's talk about a little TV time. What am I doing TV-wise right now? Got a couple K-dramas. Evil Live, nice little K-drama there. I finished Blue-Eyed Samurai over on Netflix. It was kind of okay-ish. I just watched Gen V on Amazon, and I just finished season 2 of The Boys as well. So, I kind of like it, but I've been not watching. Now, I didn't go straight to season 3. Like, I just said, season 3? Yeah, I watched it out of order. Don't worry about it. But there's nothing enamoring me, desiring me to go and watch it right away. It's sort of one of those, okay, it was good, but I'm just not sure I feel like it a lot of times. You know what I mean? When it comes to that style of things. So that's what I got going on. Like I said yesterday, I'm working all weekend, but I'm off most of Thanksgiving week. So I'll have some time to play, have some time to review, have some time to get a few things played that I haven't done, or a few reviews. I got Kamashi sitting behind the camera that needs to get done. A couple upcoming videos, the don't buy anything at retail video, the look backs for November, as well as, another review or two. Hopefully you digged the 5-in-1 again. It's a ton of work, by the way. Doing 5 games in one video, the setup and the teardown, that video, producing that video before I edit it was like over an hour long. It's like 65 or 70 minutes long, and it gets pared down after you cut out all the time of like the setup and the teardown that's included there to like 25 minutes. So that just tells you how much goes into that, in case you're not aware. Like, it's much easier to do individual game reviews, but I also know it's less appealing, so I'm trying to like do a mix of the two as well. So I just need to set up a buying/selling list of games to get rid of. And I'm going to just sell them cheap, I think, because I just want stuff gone. So it's going to be probably like 50% of retail, and just see if I can just purge. I'm just lazy. I'm putting it off. Procrastination. But there you go. That's all I got going on. That's all, it's going around here. We got no other plans this weekend, and it's going to be great. Yeah, maybe I'll try and play some 20 Strong. I don't know. That one just came this past week, as well as Daybreak from CMYK. Although there was a whole thing on CMYK. Actually, like, I was like the second or third person to comment. So I guess you got my game early. It was crazy. But whoever they used for shipping it, right? They did the Amazon. They basically just put the game in the box and said, here you go. And so by the time it got to me, the outer box is just like almost completely crushed and destroyed. It's got like 2 panels on the top of the box that are torn completely. For some reason, I don't know if they like ripped open these games too. Like, they did like little like plastic seals. You know what I'm talking about? Like the edge seals, but not like the clear plastic ones, but other ones that are environmentally friendly. All of mine were ripped open. Like, how does that happen? Like, I know it can shake around in the box and get damaged, but there's no way on God's green earth that those get ripped apart like someone sliced a knife through them before, or I mean, even during that transport. So something shady was going on over there at that shipping place, if you ask me. Doesn't make sense whatsoever. People were pissed because after I commented on someone else's post that had said that they had it too, like literally within 12 hours, like a dozen other people said the same thing. And so they've had to put out an update at the beginning of the week saying, hey, we're going to look into this, and hey, we're going to send something out in the near future, and you can let us know what you need. Because wasn't just me. And that's I'm accepting of some, I don't need my box to be perfect. I'm not one of those people, folks. Like, I'm completely okay with a crushed corner or two, slight tear here, whatever, small, whatever. Aesthetic doesn't matter too much to me, right? But this is like getting damaged on the inside parts too. And that's unacceptable. And I'm not necessarily blaming them by any means, right? Whoever shipped this was nothing. There was nothing in the box. And probably about this much room between, the empty space of the game and the cover. So it wasn't a box that just fit completely tightly nice around it either. So it was definitely, anyway, I'm done ranting. You don't need to hear about that stuff. No one cares. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, if you made it to the end of the rant, ramble, and rave video, oh gosh, it feels good to get this out sometimes. Have a great freaking weekend. Thanks for watching, subscribing in the first place. Stay classy. Chill out.